Welcome to this class on the safety data sheet. Before we start, let's have some in-house safety things that we have to go on. So there is the exit door right on the right side of you. So you can, if in case of any emergency, you can use that. And we have controlled all the hazards that were present here, including the wires that were there. So we have secured everything. So now we are good to go and we can start the session. So as we are starting with the session, this is about understanding and applying the safety data sheet, as you can see on your screen as well. And before we start the session, I'll be giving you the session plan for this session. So this is the session plan that you have. Okay. So now we proceed with the session. So as for this safety data sheet, do you have some prior knowledge of any safety data sheet? Have you ever came in contact with any safety data sheet, with anything that you have watched?
No.
Okay, so this is something new for you to start with, and you have to basically getting yourself familiarized with the safety data sheet for the first time. Okay, so this workshop in itself is to familiarize the person, the learner, with the safety data sheet that is there in the workshop. Especially in our case, it is the bike repair workshop, and we have to ensure our chemical safety. So because the chemicals are everywhere in the workshop, so we have to be careful about them. And the learning objectives of this safety data sheet, as you can see on your screen, is accessing the relevant safety data sheet. You will be learning that. You will be identifying the key chemical properties of this safety data sheet. Then you will be identifying the potential health hazards that are present with the safety data sheet, and you will be learning and applying the safe handling procedures, and then learning and applying the safe storage procedures, finding the first aid where it is and how to apply that. Now when you introduce something, what are the various hazards that you can see? What are the various hazardous chemicals that you face or you encounter in your workshop when you work in a workshop? You can get help from your screen as well.
Brake fluid, cleaning solvent, and paint,
and
degreaser.
So in today's session, we will be having a safety data sheet for a degreaser. So we will be learning for the different sections of that. In this slide, in the presentation, you can see we have provided you with what you are supposed to be finding in what section of the safety data sheet. So moving further, what is the importance of the safety data sheet? What can you recall from your working in a workshop?
Degrees.
Of the safety data sheet. What's the importance of the safety data sheet that you can recall from your working in the bike repair shop?
Safety.
Yeah, safety. It's a good practice. It's basically under the WHS laws of every state. It is the legal obligation on everyone. What I say, on everyone who is present on the workshop or on the workplace, be it the worker, be it the supervisor, be it the manager, be it just anyone who is there, be it may be even the person who just is visiting the site for some reason and who is not a worker. It provides a crucial information about the potential hazards. For example, on your can you tell me what could be the potential hazards that are there present for any chemical that is there?
Skin irritations due to cleaners and flammability of sprays.
Yeah, good. So moving further, with the safety data sheet, I'm now handing over you a safety data sheet. You have this. You just go through this and tell me how many sections the safety data sheet is. You go through all the pages and just count, or you can just go to the last page and you can find out how many sections are there. 16 sections, yeah. And these 16 sections are globally harmonized. So a safety data sheet for a product that you find here in Western Australia, you will be finding the same safety data sheet anywhere in the world. You may be in Italy, you may be in Portugal, you may be in Spain, or anywhere in the world, you will be finding the same safety data sheet. The only difference that you can find is of the language that can be there. Okay, so the safety data sheet is in front of you, so it is globally harmonized, and then the key features of it is internationally recognized, as I told you already. And what are the other features from this sheet which you can recall from the safety data sheet?
Conveys hazard information.
Yeah, exactly.
And information ranging from chemical identity to environmental impact.
Yeah. And it is clear and straightforward. And for anybody working with near or exposed to hazardous chemical, it is basically designed for that person. Now, to access the safety data sheet, what are the different sources that come to your mind when in the workshop? Where can you find the safety data sheet?
Physical register, workshop, intranet, manufacturer, supplier.
Yeah. In the physical register, there is a register of all the safety data sheets that are present, of all the chemicals that we use. We have a safety data sheet of all of them in a register in the workshop here. And then on the workshop intranet, we have kept the copies of all the safety data sheets. And the most basic source, as you told me just now, is the manufacturer or the supplier of the chemical. And this is especially true in case of the chemicals that have some sort of hazard associated with them. Some chemicals or some liquids that we use in the workshop, they may be water-based. Hence, it's so strange that you don't find any safety data sheet supplied by the supplier. The reason being that they are not hazardous. So, but still there is a safety data sheet that exists for them as well. So it's always a good idea to have the safety data sheet of them, because even if the chemical is not hazardous, if someone inhales, someone swallows them by any chance, so still there is a hazard, because the thing that is not meant for eating or drinking is not to be eaten or drunk. And if it happens, what to be done? So we have to work like that. Now there are some important considerations when we are using a safety data sheet. The safety data sheet is in front of you. So if you go to the let me say, if this safety data sheet is on the bottom of the page, you can see it is issued on 8 of April 2025, right? So suppose if this date is of 2019 or 2015, something like that. Do you think this sheet is workable? Is this something that we can go with if the issue date of this safety data sheet is somewhere 10 years back in time?
I think yes.
It is not, because with the time there are some other things, some other hazards, some other, they are the chemical may be produced in some different ways, so the properties may be different, or more or less may be the same, but maybe some other properties, some other hazards that we discover with the passage of time. So that's why we have to keep the safety data sheet as current as possible. So the safety data sheet that you have got, it is of April, so it's just you can say 8 months old, right? So it should be latest version, periodically updated by the manufacturer, and the revision date you can find on page 1. Here on the page 1 you can see there is a revision date, and if you don't find it here, then you just go to the last page, and here you can see reason for issue, revised format change. So the format has been changed, that's why they have revised it. So here on every page of this safety data sheet, they have given you the version number, which on the bottom you can see there is a version 1.1 and the issue date that has been there. Okay, so it has to be current, then it has to be accessible. Suppose that safety data sheet is in some log and you don't have the keys for that log, and there is some emergency in which you need to access the safety data sheet. What's going to happen in that case? Of course, it will be, you were supposed to be using the safety data sheet, but because it is in a lock and you can't access it, is it a worthwhile thing to store the safety data sheet in that case?
Yeah.
When you can't access it, there's a point in accessing the there's a point in storing the safety data sheet in the workshop somewhere, and if you can't access it, then there's a point of having that safety data sheet, because
Yeah.
it is not available when you actually are in most need of that. So it has to be accessible, yeah, readily accessible, quickly retrievable, unlocked for free use, understandable by the workers. And in case of Western Australia, in what language should be the safety data sheet?
English.
English, yeah. In some other country where it should be in their local language, so the people who know that language wide and large, they can understand the safety data sheet, right? Now we have to navigate through the safety data sheet, and how many sections are there in the safety data sheet as we discussed now? 16. And do you think we have to, in the safety data sheet that is in front of you, you can see how many pages are there?
8.
8 pages. So is it possible that if there are some, say some 20 chemicals, so there will be how many data sheets? 20 data sheets, right? So is it possible for you to remember all of the stuff there? No. And basically the safety data sheet is not for that purpose, that you cram it, you remember it, everything, no. The only thing is that you learn how to use the safety data sheet, okay? How to locate the specific information from a specific section. So there are some critical sections and some non-critical sections, okay? So the first, if you go to the safety data sheet in front of you, there is the first one, which is the identification. And from here, can you pronounce me the name of the product from this safety data sheet that I have given you? The product name?
Where?
Here, product name.
Okay. Chemtech Workshop Heavy Duty
Degreaser. Yeah. So this is the name of the product, right? And it also tells about the uses and the supplier. You can see the supplier, which can you name the supplier? What's the name?
ITW
Polymers
and Fluids.
Fluids for Australia in our
Yes.
case. Okay. So these are the details in the first one. Then is the hazard information. The second section is hazard information, and just in the front you can see there is a pictogram, right? And it tells that the material is hazardous, right? And then is the signal word. You can see what's the signal word for this chemical?
Critical.
Signal word, you can see it here.
Danger.
Danger, yeah. And then is the hazard statements, hazard classification, which says that it is corrosive to metals, category 1, skin irritation, category 2, and eye damage, category 1. So category 1 is the most dangerous one, category 2 is the milder one, and category 3 is the least dangerous one. And then we go through the hazard statements. And by the way, this second section of the safety data sheet is critical one, because it's telling about the hazard. It's not wrong to say that all the safety data sheets revolves around this section, because it is telling us wide and large about these the hazard that are present here. Okay. So from the hazard statements, can you tell me what are the hazard statements that are linked with this chemical?
Maybe corrosive to metals,
Yeah.
causes skin irritations, causes serious eye damage.
Yeah, causes damage. And then is the precautionary statements.
Keep out of reach of children.
And with all these statements, for the hazard statement, you can see there is a code which is, can you pronounce the codes for me for the hazard statement, which is H290, and then which are the remaining two?
H315, H318.
Yeah, and same is for the prevention precautionary statements, right?
Yeah.
So can you pronounce some of the statements for me for this?
Keep out of reach of children.
Yeah.
Read carefully and follow all instructions.
All instructions.
Keep only in original packaging. Wash hands, face, and all exposed.
Yeah. Good. So it is so on. So there can be more than one of them, and then there is the it tells about the flammable, if the chemical is flammable, if it is the Yeah, if so, these are the things that you can find here. Then is the response precautionary statements, like it says, if medical advice is needed, have a container or label at hand. So why at hand? Because if the label or the container is with you, you can show this to the first responder, and they can treat the patient accordingly, right? And then it says. It also shows the storage precautionary statement, disposal precautionary statement. Basically, it is a brief overview of all the other sections, roughly speaking. And it says poison schedule, dangerous goods classification, dangerous goods class, right? So this is a critical section. Now going for the section 3, which is chemical, which is the composition or composition information. So it tells you about the chemical identity. Can you tell me what are the chemicals that are present in, what are the various chemicals that has made up this specific chemical? So
sodium metasilicate,
pentahydrate,
sodium.
And the proportion you can see is 5 to 10%, and so on for the other ones. Okay. For the fourth section, which is this one is also critical. Then the fourth one says about first aid measures. Can you tell me about inhalation?
Remove victim from exposure, avoid becoming a casualty, remove.
So on. So this is for the first aid measures. It tells about the symptoms, and it tells about the immediate treatment that you can go for. Okay. And it is also a critical one. Then going for the firefighting measures, which is the fifth section, it tells about the suitable extinguishing media and specific hazards that are there for this chemical, right? And can you tell me the HCN code for this product? 2X. Yeah. So there is also on specific hazard, it says not combustible material. It's not combustible, but anyways. Now going for the accidental release measures, there are two kinds of spills that are mentioned in this safety data sheet, which is the small. What's there for the small spills?
Wear protective equipment to prevent skin
and eye contamination, right? So this is about the accidental release measures. Now the seventh one, which is critical, is handling and storage. It shows you. In your safety data sheet, you can find two headings. Which are they? Those
handling and storage.
Yeah. In the handling, what has been written there?
Avoid eye contact and skin contact.
So you can get the idea of what to do with this chemical, how to handle with this chemical. And same is with the storage. You have to follow the instructions that are there in the storage. Then the eighth one is exposure controls and personal protection. So it shows you the national exposure limits. Basically, it tells us about, this section tells us about the engineering controls and the PPE recommendations. So in the national occupational exposure limits, what are the limits there? In the ppm for the TWA.
Oh, ppm, mg, m3.
On the bottom of that you can find
50.
For the milligram per meter cube, it is 308, right? So this is a critical section as well that you need to know. There are many other things. It is exhaustive. I mean, it's much detailed. So there are other things, like it tells you what TWA means, time weighted average. What STL means, short term exposure limit. So basically, it tells you about the safety data sheet, how the exposure controls, the various function things that you use. The ninth one, which is not critical, is physical and chemical properties. It tells you about the appearance, the odor, the pH, flash point, and the boiling point of the chemical. And you can find from your sheet, you can find what's the form of the material?
Liquid,
right? And the color is
green,
right? So these are the various things that you can find there. And going to the 10th one, stability and reactivity. It tells us about the conditions that you have to avoid, incompatible materials, hazardous decomposition products that are for this. So what does it tell you about the chemical stability of the product?
This material is thermally stable when stored and used as directed.
Right? So for the incompatible materials, what are those?
Oxidizing agents.
Oxidizing agents, right, so on. So the list is small for this. You can see there are 5 headings there, and there are 5 statements corresponding to them. So now the 11th one is the toxicological information. It tells you about the routes of exposure through which a person can contract the chemical, can get the chemical inside him or her. What are the various symptoms, and what are the acute and chronic health effects that are present with this chemical. Okay. Now the acute effects, it tells you acute effects: inhalation, skin contact, ingestion, and eye contact, as you can see in the screen. Yeah, in the SDS. So for the skin contact, what is the acute effect?
Contact with skin will result in irritation.
Right. And then for the acute toxicity, it's again for the inhalation, skin contact, ingestion, corrosion and sensitization, aspiration hazard, specific target organ toxicity. And to me, the most important one here is specific target organ toxicity, which is single exposure, which is the last one. And it says chronic toxicity. This material has been classified as not a specific hazard to target organs by a single exposure. So it tells you that if it is exposed to any of a human organ single time, not a multiple times, only single time, then there is a specific hazard that is present there. Okay. Then in the chronic toxicity, it says mutagenicity, carcinogenicity, and what does it say for the carcinogenicity?
This material has been classified as
not carcinogen, right? So carcinogen means cancer causing thing. So it is not the cancer causing. And now with this we move to the section 12, which is ecological information, the environmental impact that is there with this chemical, right? And the 13th is disposal consideration. Safe disposal method that you have to use. And can you find out what are the disposal considerations from safety data sheet?
Persons conducting disposal, recycling or reclamation activities should ensure that appropriate personal protection equipment is used. See section 8. Exposure controls and personal protection of this SDS.
So we can, if you go back to section 8, it tells us about what are the exposures. So these, these exposure controls, we have to take care of them when we are actually disposing this organism. At that time, we will be giving them due consideration, right? Because the chemical is, even if it is waste, the chemical is still a chemical. It still has all the hazards that were there. Right? Now is the 14th one, which is, can you write the, can you pronounce which one is the 14th section?
Transport information.
And it tells you about the UN number, proper shipping name, and hazard class, transport hazard class. So what is the UN number for this?
1760.
Okay. So on. So there are different other things that you can do. And moving further, there is a record of attendance that you can sign, and there is a pen there. Yeah, you got the pen?
Yeah.
You just tick it. Just tick it here and here. And tick there. So this is a record of attendance because we are about to finish this session. And the 15th one here is the regulatory information. And it tells you about the safety regulations, the health regulations, and the environmental regulations that are linked to this specific chemical. Okay. Can you read the regulatory information for me from the safety data sheet? 15th section. What are the international agreements The first line that you can find here, what is
This material is not subject to the following international agreements:
yeah.
Montreal Protocol, ozone
Depleting
depleting
substances,
substances.
okay, and so on. Now is the last session of this safety data sheet, which is, as you can read, other information, and it tells you about the date of preparation, the revision number, and it also gives you the key to abbreviations if they have been used any, right? So in the safety data sheet you can see what's the last line of this safety data sheet, this section.
Safety data sheets are updated frequently. Please ensure you have a current copy.
Current copy. Yeah. So the current copy that we were discussing just in the beginning, right? And as we have gone through all the 16 sections of this, and before we conclude and on our learning, it is a good idea that you go through the report of attendance you have done. There is the evaluation form that's to give you. So please fill up the evaluation, learner evaluation form, and then we can conclude with this session. If you need some help with something that you can understand, then you can get the help from me as well. So you're done with this. Thank you. Repeat that. And the attendance sheet. So now let's conclude. In case of an emergency, if there is something, some person comes in contact with the chemical, maybe he inhales it, or maybe he swallows something, or the chemicals comes in contact with his skin, his or her skin. So what are the actions that you are supposed to be doing in that case?
Check the SDS safety data sheet, and do not self-diagnose or treat without proper knowledge. Keep SDS readily available for first responders, paramedics, and medical personnel. Section 4 helps them treating effectively. Be aware of first aid kit and washing section.
And what is the section 4 all about? Can you look into your safety data sheet and tell me what the section 4 all about that you have to take care of?
First aid and measures.
First aid measures, right. So the first aid measures is the thing that you have to now look upon for. The section 2, which is about hazard, it is about when you are dealing with a chemical, you have to how to keep yourself safe. What are the hazards that you have to take care of? But in this case, when something wrong has happened, it has happened. So now we will jump into the section 4, which is the first aid measures, right? So now you have got you have concluded, you have as a key takeaway, you have got a solid understanding of what is the importance of safety data sheet and how to use them effectively. And you in fact have used them in order for the situation that is there. So you have gone through all the sections of the safety data sheet. So the key takeaways here are that the safety data sheet contains vital information that is for your safety as well as the safety of your workplace. Not only the people present there, but also the machinery and equipment that is present there. Now you have learned to access it quickly. Now you can look for the critical sections. Which are those sections? Can you look into that? Which are the critical sections of the safety data sheet?
3, 4, 7, 8, and 11.
11. Yeah, these are the critical ones. So, and apply safe handling and storage and use PPE. Acquire the first aid knowledge of chemicals. consult the SDS for any new chemical you have to encounter in the workshop. Why? Because your safety is paramount. Is there any other question that you would like to ask?
No.
What's the time? So, with this, we conclude our session. Thank you very much for participating in this session.
Thank you.